Today is just one of those days where my hair is not doing anything I tell it to. It's already time again for my March wrap up, and I can't believe that the month has already ended, essentially. I read 6 books this month, which isn't as impressive as my 11 books last month, but I'm still pretty proud of it considering the other work I had to get done this month. I thought I would do a slightly more wordy wrap up this month than I did in February because, you know, the one word wrap ups are cool, but they only kind of work when there's a few books to get through. So this month, the first book that I read was The Lonely Londoners by Sam Selvin. It's one of those things where I saw what it was doing, I saw what it was trying to achieve, and I think it did, but it doesn't mean I enjoyed it all that much. So the next book that I read was The Help by Catherine Stockett, and this book was fantastic. I saw the movie for this a few years ago, but this is the first time that I've read the book, and I enjoyed it so much. The Help is a book set in the 1960s in Missouri, I think. It is about the help in American households at that time, and it deals with issues like racism and elitism and stuff, and it was just one of those books that is really hard to stop reading. I really enjoyed it. I think enjoyed is also the wrong word here, but I hope you know what I mean. The next book I have a physical copy of, which is shocking for these wrap-ups recently, and that is because I won it in the Winter Biannual Bibliothon this year. That is Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. It is a graphic novel. Before this, I've read one graphic novel, and I didn't particularly like that one. But when this arrived, I kind of guessed that this would be more my kind of thing. It has these creepy fairy tale-like stories, and I can't quite get across how much I loved it. In this book, there is 5 stories, and I think I've read all of them at least twice. It is just one of those books that is just creepy enough that I love it. If you want to try out graphic novels and you kind of think the creepy things might be your kind of thing, definitely recommend this one. The next book I read was a book I read for university. Again, another university book. There's so many of them this semester, but this one is Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood, which is my first ever Margaret Atwood book, so I was excited to get started on this. This book is based on a true murder case, but obviously with fictionalized characters and stuff. I read this book half as a physical book and half as an audiobook, and I really enjoyed it. I kind of love the story and how you're unsure who to kind of trust and where it's going. The only problem that I had with this book is the ending didn't feel conclusive, and that's because it's based on true events, and some things you just don't know what happens and whether something was the way it actually happened or whether it's just something that Margaret Atwood wrote, and I kind of want to know if it's real or not. I kind of wish I knew which parts were true, which is, I think it's a good sign in a book. I think if it can make you want to know stuff like that, then the writer has done a good job. So good job, Margaret. The next book I read was The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness, which is a book that I won in the Book2-a-thon last summer, which it still blows my mind. What I liked about this book was the idea behind it. The concept of this book is there's usually in fantasy dystopian type books, there is a chosen one kind of character who saves the day, and this book is about the characters who are not that character, which is a great idea. And at the start of every chapter they have what the chosen ones are doing, and then the actual chapter is about the characters that aren't those characters, which is a great idea, but I'm not entirely sure that it was entirely successful. The next thing I reread, and that was Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. This is one of my favorite Jane Austen books. It is about a girl called Catherine who loves reading novels, who goes to visit Bath and there meets some interesting characters and goes to stay with some friends, and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like a parody satire type thing. It is one of Jane Austen's earlier works, and you can kind of tell, but it was very enjoyable to read. They are all the books that I finished reading this month. I also started reading Defiance by C.J. Redwin, which is a book that has been on my TBR for the longest time, and I've just finally decided to pick it up and start reading it. I'm only about 30 pages in. So far it is good. It's one of those books that's easy to read because the way it's written kind of draws you in, and it's one of those ones you can just keep flipping the pages. So I'm interested to see how this continues and if I end up enjoying it or not. There you have all of the books I read in March. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.